I should start by saying I live a pretty straight-edge life, so whatever happened last New Year's Eve wasn't from drinking or drugs. I know what I saw. I live on the edge of your typical small southern town. A few friends live further out in the boondocks where the only access is those narrow, dark country back roads. Darren lives with his family in one of the nicer neighborhoods out that way, and the only way in is those same back roads. Every year his family throws a New Year's Eve party and invites all their friends, me included, so I always look forward to the invite in the mail. Winter down here can be weird. It didn't get truly cold until a few days before New Year's. I remember how suddenly frigid the air felt, and how the bumpy, unmaintained road made the drive uncomfortable. I usually avoid driving with my high beams because other drivers blind me with theirs, but that night the darkness and all the sharp turns made brights a necessity. The road is flanked by a thick tree line on both sides, so even with my brights it was tough to see every twist ahead. Between the turnoff and Darren's neighborhood there aren't any other houses except for a lone shack that looked abandoned for years, although sometimes I'd see a light on in it when I passed. A few minutes into the drive, on a relatively straight stretch, my lights picked something out of the trees, white against the black. As I got closer I realized it was the shape of a person standing at the road's edge, motionless with their back to the woods. It was a woman in a white dress or gown, totally wrong for the cold. I didn't drop my brights because the glare made it hard to see details, but she didn't move. I was relieved she didn't step into the road and make me slam on the brakes, but part of me wondered if I should have stopped to help. Maybe she was trying to get to Darren's party. Then I glanced at my rearview mirror and saw, in the red reflection of my taillights, that she had turned her body to watch me as I drove away. She was still frozen in place, but she was following me with her head. It gave me the chills, and in that moment I was glad I wasn't much of a good Samaritan. There was no way she was a fellow party guest. I got to the party around 8, parked on the gravel circle with a dozen other cars, and spent the night with everyone in that big clearing the house sat in. Like all the houses in that neighborhood, Darren's was spaced out in the woods. The party was fun. We watched both the New York ball drop and our own local countdown. After midnight people started drifting out. I stayed a little to help clean up. I'm one of the closer family friends and usually hang back for that. By the time I left, my car was the last one parked near the front of the house. When I got in and started the engine, a low tire pressure warning lit up. My car's older, so it didn't tell me which tire was low or how bad it was. Before I started panicking, I remembered this always happens to me when the weather first turns cold after a warm stretch. I figured I could make it home. But then I thought about the woman I'd seen on the way in. Was she still out there? Had anyone else seen her? There's another route home that goes the opposite way, but it adds 20 minutes. At that hour, late and with possible drunk drivers around, I didn't want the longer drive. So I decided to go back the same way. Not even a few minutes onto that dark back road, I noticed something wrong with the tires. I could feel it and hear it, like bare metal scraping on asphalt. The car slowed by itself, and then it came to a solid stop. This was way worse than a flat tire. My first thought was, did my tires just fall off? Against my better judgment I opened the door and killed the engine. The car's lights went out and the woods swallowed me in black. I switched on my phone flashlight and checked the tires. My stomach dropped, every single tire had been shredded, like something had torn them apart with claws. I tried to reason my way through it, maybe one got punctured and the rough road made things worse. But all four. That was deliberate. I stood there, useless. Who would be out here at that hour, even on New Year's? I needed a tow or someone to pick me up, but of course there was no cell signal this deep in the boondocks. I was about to climb back in when the wind died. The bare tree branches stopped moving and even the night animals went silent. I'd never heard anything like it, the kind of silence that makes your skin prickle, like everything had paused. Then a twig snapped somewhere in the darkness. Something was moving through the trees. I shut my phone light off and the world went black. Leaves skittered and the underbrush rustled, not like deer or a raccoon, but like something hunting. Then I heard it. I see you. All the air left my lungs. The voice was a woman's, soft and close, coming from the pitch-black tree line less than 15 feet away. There was no anger in it, which made it even creepier. For a second I just wanted to curl up and die. Then, "Can you see me?" That second time the fight or flight response hit. I fumbled the phone back on, desperate to see which way to run. The light sliced through the darkness and there she was at the edge of the trees. The white gown was filthy and stained dark. Her skin was deathly pale, her frame thin as a rail. Gray hair hung in a mess to her elbows. Her face was almost impossible to look at, half of her jaw looked gone, and yet she seemed to be pulling something like a grin. I didn't hesitate. I turned and ran. The shack I'd mentioned earlier sat the other direction, but I didn't want to go toward it. What if she lived there? Irrational or not, I kept moving away from it. Behind me I heard twigs snap and leaves crunch. She was after me. Adrenaline carried me down the road faster than I thought possible. I managed to lose her and crashed into Darren's yard, ignoring the rest of the houses, and pounded on the front door. Darren's mom answered and dragged me inside, fully alarmed. I told them everything, the woman, the tires, the voice. Darren and his dad were quick to help. They called the police and a tow, and offered me a place to stay for the night. The police said they'd searched the road and that I could pick up my car and make a statement the next day. All I wanted then was sleep, but that night had other plans. Sometime later I woke to a soft tapping at the second-story window. I glanced at the digital clock, 3:14 a.m. The room didn't have blinds, and I froze. Then I heard, muffled outside, the same voice, "I see you." She had followed me all the way here, and she was throwing rocks to get my attention. I wasn't about to move. I stayed glued to that bed until morning, refusing to close my eyes until Darren's family woke up and the light came through the windows. When they did, I told them everything and we all went outside to look around where I'd heard the voice. The police arrived shortly after and started searching the yard and the nearby tree line. Darren's dad found a large, rusty knife near the edge of the property, not something any of them owned. It looked like the kind of blade that could have been used to slash tires. Which meant the woman had followed my car earlier that night, tracked me to the party, and had singled me out while everyone else was inside celebrating. Darren's parents called the other guests to ask if anyone had seen anything odd. One friend said they'd noticed someone in a white dress wandering outside, but since people were coming and going all night they didn't think much of it then. When I gave my statement, I told the officers about the shack on the road and asked them to check it. They did, and later told me they found no one living there, but the woods around it were full of dead, gutted animals. The woman I saw was never found. That left a lot of questions, none of them comforting. The worst for me was how quickly she tracked me once I drove away, and how, even missing so much of her jaw, she could still whisper my name so clearly. Still, I'll go to Darren's New Year's party again this year. I'm not giving up tradition. I am, however, carpooling, and taking the long route.